What up? What up?
All right, welcome back to another episode of.
Life with the Sloans.
And please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And if you can resonate with, I'm trying to build my kids' brand, I'm trying to figure out how to get my kids as an entrepreneur, go ahead and push the like button.
Like this.
All right, so let's hop straight into this conversation.
Conversation. All right, so we're talking today about cultivating the mentality and heart of a kidpreneur. So our
Also, how to get it started.
how to get it started. Get it started. Get it started.
You need help. Y'all come save me, please.
So I'm gonna ask you a couple questions. You ready?
No, you can just go ahead.
No, I'm gonna ask you. No, I'm gonna ask you a question. So, when did you realize that your kids could possibly be entrepreneurs? It's a hard question to answer.
No, it's actually not. You kind of are what you come from. Boom, it's already in there, like Prego. So we're both entrepreneurs, and so I already knew that our kids possessed this. I'm called the spirit of entrepreneurship. They already possessed it. It was just up to us to cultivate it and to pull it out, and to position them to have a good springboard. There we go. I was like,
Springboard.
See a springboard. Yeah, they have a good springboard, and so it's not really their job to do it. Even though some kids do come up with some stuff that helps. So.
Good. I first knew that we had the possibility to begin cultivating that entrepreneurship when I was in business school getting my master's, and our oldest at the time wouldn't go to sleep without just sitting and hearing some of the lessons from
or is that just because they were by you?
No. It wasn't just that. It was also they literally would not go to sleep. Like,
oh, okay.
It was like not just being with me at that point. It had to do with I think the first book outside of the Bible that we picked up, at least with Lay, was The Art of War. And I was reading that for business school. So the level of focus that she had when we were reading that was one of the things that pushed me to say maybe this might be an entrepreneur.
Right, and I think you used to always try to read to her when she was in the belly, right?
No, I read.
I think I read
to everybody. I read to everybody.
Yeah.
I'm a firm believer that it gets in there, whether or not they're able to explain what exactly it is that you're reading at the time. It doesn't matter. It still gets in there.
Definitely. So one of the tips that come to my mind of how to get your kids into entrepreneurship is finding out what your kid is passionate about. I think in our society these days, people do things to make money because they have to do it. But I think it's a more fulfilling life if you're able to do something that you love. And so finding out what your child loves by giving them exposure to some things so you can see what kind of lights them up. Yeah.
I think the passion part that you put on was one of the bigger keys. Whatever the kids typically are passionate about, that's what they're going to want to exert the most energy to and want to focus on. So I think early on, one of the things we did, and this was like with all of the kids, was kind of letting them work with the Power Wheels, letting them enjoy the actual fruit of what it was that they did. And a lot of people were like, oh, that's doing too much. It's this, it's that. Right. And that's fine. There's always people that don't understand. But there was
that's called cultivating.
There was an article that was published by Fisher Price. It was actually one of their child psychologists, and they were studying the way that the kids interacted based on who had exposure to Power Wheels at one point and who didn't have exposure to Power Wheels. And they found out that the kids that had exposure to it were able to understand directions better. They knew different colors because they would use the same traffic signal, stuff like that.
Right.
And there was another thing as far as their cognizance were following instructions and directions. So, at that point when I read that, I was just like, oh, that's interesting. Maybe there's some fun to this that we can kind of get out of it. And that's how we started, kind of buying the Power Wheels and letting them play with it. And then we got into customizing a little bit with audio and lights and stuff like that. But I remember with our oldest son, when we were learning. He was starting to learn colors, and we started playing with the tail lights for one of the cars that they had. And I remember when with him specifically when
I'm like, is something in there? Oh my God.
Free Weezy. Jules Santana.
Anyway.
Fresh Prince.
See you, you're disappearing.
Anyway.
Okay.
So the point of what I'm saying is with him, when he actually got to see the fruit of the lights when it came out and it showed red, he got really excited about it. And my daughter, obviously, she had gone through it before, but she was excited about it too.
All right. All right. So the next thing that I'm thinking about is when you want to get your kids into entrepreneurship is you have to teach them some lessons about mindset, because even adults who are entrepreneurs need these lessons. So kids are not exempt from these lessons as well. Kids have to know if they're going to go into entrepreneurship, whether it's with a parent or about themselves, that there will be days that you don't want to do it. Or there will be times when you have no customers, or that people are not showing up for your events or whatever the case. But that doesn't mean that you quit.
Yeah.
You have to be able to teach your kids resilience, and that they're not only to stick it through, but to create a system for themselves that they can make a habit, which is something that adults can also use as well. And that's why kids aren't exempt from it.
Well, what if, in some situation, this is one of the things that, we're dealing with the generation of people that, there's more of an influence on fatherlessness. And I'm not just talking about across.
Well, mothers are great. Mothers come great in this.
Right. But I'm saying culturally, there's no difference between, what it is. At the end of the day, you need to have somebody that is responsible for your well-being, whether it's a male or female, that is willing to pour back into you and help cultivate those things. So one of the things that we were doing, this is something that I started doing, I think when we were married it was before Lay was born. So I don't remember exactly what year, but when I started listening to motivational
right. I remember those years.
Yeah. So we got, and it's not just those years where it was
but I remember like how often.
What do you remember?
I remember being in the car and I probably wanted to jam some music or something like that, or quiet. And I remember you would have Napoleon Hill playing in the car. And I'm like, why do you keep having this playing in the car? Really?
And now look.
Thank God that you had to play it in the car. It went somewhere. It didn't go in and out.
Subconscious.
Yeah, they're just subconscious.
Turn it over to the subconscious.
That was absorbing and sucking it in. And our kids have sucked it in as well. So yeah.
Well, what I found is that the more you expose them to as far as positivity, the more likely it is that they're going to gravitate towards it. So just like with us, when I was sitting there, mentally I wasn't in the same place that I am right now, but I knew I wanted more. I knew that there was more to life than just where we were at that particular point in time.
Right.
And I think if you're able to introduce your kid to that and saying, you're so much more than just a 5-year-old or a 3-year-old or a 7-year-old. It reminds me.
Or why not a 3-year-old or why not a 5-year-old? That's the question.
Well,
why not? Like, why not you? Because you're young. So what? Why not you?
And another reason why it really was important for me to really start cultivating that was, I remember when I started looking at some of like the Black History stuff, since we talked about that last month. There was a lot of multi-millionaires that were kids.
Yeah.
Way back when. And they were kids. Like, it wasn't, for all intents and purposes, there's no reason why they should have had money. But they were multi-millionaires. And I forget, there was a young African-American woman, and I forget her name. She was probably like maybe 11 or 12. And she was one of the wealthiest people in the country. And she came from slavery.
Right.
Like, so that told me right there, hey, look, if she could do it, how much more can you afford to give to your kids and give them that footing?
Right. Definitely. I would say to some of the parents out there, maybe your child's asking you for like allowance or whatever. I didn't get allowance for having good grades. I was expected to have good grades. But I would say if you are going to give your child allowance, maybe create something that they can invest back into a business that they want to do.
Yep.
That would be teaching them way more than just giving. I think we give things too much, but we don't teach what to do with things. And that creates a bad habit. No, we as in people, period. Not the Black people. I'm talking about people, everybody. we don't teach people what to do with it. And when they become adults and later on someone approaches them about a business or whatever the case, then they start tackling these issues. But these things really should be visited or exposed to, when you're younger. So that's my thing on that. So the next thing on how to get a kid into entrepreneurship is to begin giving them financial. Yeah, that's my word. Begin giving them financial lessons. Not only will it help them in school, but it also helps them to see life in a business view, which most, there's two kinds of people in the world. There's consumers, and then there are
sellers.
Yeah, whatever you want to call it, whatever name you want to call it. There's the people that consume, and then there's the people that, I don't call them sellers, but I'm going to call them business-minded people.
Ooh.
Because remember, America is a business. It is not just a place where you consume things.
The big C.
So if you don't want to be a part of the rat race, you need to learn how not to just be a consumer.
Yeah, but there's different ways that people consume, and it has to do with their understanding of valuation. Like as an example, I remember when we were teaching our oldest this, we were talking about, like, we were using an example as a Power Wheel, and we went to Toys R Us and they had brand new ones. Everything was nice and beautiful on the rack, and it was like, oh, this one costs what's these numbers, and it was like 399. Yep. So this is about $400, right? I said, yep. So we can buy this one
without assembly and all that.
Without assembly, comes in a box. I put it together, and or maybe the store will sell us the one off the showroom for a little bit cheaper, whatever. But I was like, we can do that, and that's perfectly fine. We can do that today. Is that what you want to do? And she was like, yeah, we should do that. And I said, but hold on, there's another option. So it might not be this exact same car directly from Toys R Us, but we can find one that's similar that might be used by another kid, and we could buy it for half of that money, and then the other half we might be able to buy another car that, something similar to what you have here. So you could get a Jeep and you could get a car, but we couldn't buy this one from the store. So does it make more sense to buy just the one or to buy the two? And she was like, we could buy the two for the same money, right? Yes. I said, okay, cool. I said, wait, there's a third option. So what we could do instead is we could buy the two cars and we could sell the other one and get more money back for that one to help pay for the first one that you put out. What do you think about that?
And I hope you guys are not taking lessons on this is how you buy your car.
No.
That's an adult, because it's not. That's a whole
these
different.
These are power.
That's a whole different. That's a whole different live.
Yeah. You can do
so
that.
So don't go do that. Don't buy a lemon and a lemon, because it don't equal a lemon. Okay.
No. And
A and B. I just want to make that clear, because I know some people out there. Oh yeah, that's what I do with my car. Nope. That's why. That's why it is what it is.
And make sure that the person that is actually giving lessons, like in this case, it would be me. You actually know how to fix these things if something is wrong with them. So there's a whole nother issue. But
no projects. All right.
So anyway, what their oldest learned from that lesson was that even though it was focused on the vehicle, something that she enjoyed or could have fun with, there was other ways that she could be able to get the vehicle and or pay for the vehicle for that, and she could still enjoy it.
Right. All right. So if you're gonna get your kid into entrepreneurship, you need to go over those things that we mentioned previously. And the last thing.
But we didn't talk about the big thing.
I want to talk about this last thing.
All right, let's see.
Well, let's see if this is the big thing, but
the
last thing is telling them how simple it is to start your business.
Okay.
Because most people don't know that information.
That wasn't the last thing, but go ahead.
All right, well, go ahead and give the last thing.
No, you were on that topic.
Finish that topic.
Finish that topic.
No. That's a part of your topic too, because
the last big topic, aside from the starting, is making sure that you help them build a plan out to be successful.
Right. We'll go
the highs, the lows, the ins and outs. The
goals, everything.
When we started,
actions.
And I'll give you an example. When we started it, what we were looking at, we started with a $150 investment. We purchased 2 vehicles, and this was for the Power Wheel. We purchased 2 vehicles, and then we turned around and we sold one. And I sold one. I think I made maybe $35 or $40. I can't remember exactly what it was at the time. But that went back to the pot. And then the money that we had sold on top of that we had gotten back for the initial car went right back into the pot.
And the same thing with the custom clothing.
Yeah.
Same thing. initial investment. So one, then it goes back into the pot. So what most people do is they take the money that's supposed to go back in the pot and they keep either buying or keep using it. When there has to be something in the pot. If there's not, then you can't keep using it, because what will happen is you will dip into things that are not in the pot.
Yeah.
So we don't want to do that, because we've been there before. All right. So you want to get to the last part?
That was my last part.
No, you're gonna do this part because this was the easiest part. And you know the specific information about
what?
How easy it is really quickly. Well, there's two ways to get the business started for a kid. You can either do EIN or.
Well, if you're going to do a full-fledged business, you need to do a business. You need to do a business search. Firstly, find out if the name of the business or the name that you want to name it has been taken by another business.
Right.
You do that at the state level.
Kid.
That's individual per state, because you're going to do it and you're going to incorporate it in a particular state. Then you need to decide what type of business it's going to be. If it's going to be an LLC, if it's going to be a nonprofit, any of a host of different.
Question before you do that, because I know some people will be asking this. No. Some people will be asking, well, because it's a kid and they're underage and they're not 18, does the business go on my name and then I give it to the kid? Like, how does that work?
Who's going to be managing the business will be the first question. Are you managing all of the affairs of the business? Are you making sure that, if insurance is required, is you taking care of that? If taxes are required to be paid, which they are you taking care of that? Are you paying for the fees?
Taxes are required to be paid.
Are you paying for, well, if it's nonprofit, there's different. If you're if there's certain things as far as the business structure that you're trying to build out, really what you should do is you should have obviously a CEO, vice president, or CSO, somebody of that nature, depending on what the information is. You build out the structure and say, if it's 3 people, you build that first, and then from there you look at the different things that you have to get to make sure that the business is taken care of. Business search, like we were talking about, and then filing your EIN.
Right, and so we'll end it on this. How much is it actually to get your EIN? Because some people don't know that.
Google it. That's all I'm going to say. It's my full disclaimer. I don't know how long this video is going to be up, and I don't want to tell anybody the wrong information. So Google it, find out from your state what the fees are to start your own business, and then go from there.
And all you do is in Google is put. Go ahead.
What? Business record search.
There you go.
Yeah, you can do a business record search.
You just do a business record search, because I know some people are going to be asking that question, and I know it changes from time to time, because who knows? This is 2021 while we're recording this, and someone could be watching this later on in 2030.
The point of the matter is, it's
it's
never too early for you to start the business. If you want to find out how to actually go through the full process based on what your business is and the different codes that you have to choose.
What you can do really quick, if that's what you desire to do and you want to find that out, you can actually email us.
We have a couple network of people that we can
we have a couple of things that we can refer to you. So the email that you can use really quick, let me make sure I check this. You can actually email Shawnee Talks Lifestyle, because that's the email that we use. I'll post that to the screen.
Is it lifestyle or lifestyles?
No, it's lifestyle.
Okay. That's email.
Shawnee Talks Lifestyle. Yeah. So this is the email that you can use, Shawnee Talks Lifestyle at gmail.com. If you have any question, then we'll refer to you.
For you too.
Yeah, refer you to people that we use. Disclaimer: we are not responsible for what you do with the people that we refer you to.
You choose whoever you like.
Choose whoever that you would like. But if you have any questions, we'll do that.
And the other part is when you start looking at going down this path, there's a book that I really like, and I think it's something that would really help families in general. It's a book that is called The Fate of the Edsel, EDSEL. Should probably find it on
was it Fate of the what?
Fate, FAT of the Edsel, EDSEL.
EDSEL of the Edsel.
Yeah, The Fate of the Edsel. And it says in other business adventures, but it talks about business life. It's one of the books that Warren Buffett recommends, like his top 3 or top 5. I can't remember. But definitely try to do that and invest. So you start learning first, because if you're going to be the spearhead and you're going to be pushing your kid to do something, if you haven't,
or even if your kid came to you to do something, help them out. This is what is required. As a parent of a kidpreneur, you be a mompreneur or a dadpreneur or whatever. But really quick, he's gonna go get one of those books so he can show you. I think is it the one, The Fate of the Owl? Etzel? Yeah. Okay, yeah. So he's gonna go get the book of The Fate of the Etzel so you can see what that book looks like. And you can get your child starting this. As a matter of fact, this even be good, like even if you could maybe read with your child that book, it'd be good too, because you never know what your child will get out of it, what you will get out of it. And it's a wonderful journey to be with them on their kid entrepreneur journey. And really quick, if you are on Instagram, go ahead and follow us at Shawnee Talks Lifestyle. That's where all content for Life with the Sloans and Shawnee Talks Lifestyle is found. So this is the book right here.
Fate of the Etzel and Other Business Adventures. That's the name of the book by John Brooks. The one I have is, I think this is a first edition.
Yeah, it look like somebody was the first that read it.
Hold on. You know what I mean? I try to get some vintage books every once in a blue. No, mine is a fourth edition. Mine is a 1960.
First edition, right?
No, it's not first edition, because if it was, it wouldn't have these dates. That's how you know.
Oh, I got you.
So these are
okay. You give
reprint dates.
little lessons today.
Yeah, so 1963 is when I have this one from. This is one of the books that he recommended. Warren Buffett recommended. That's in his top 5. Very, very good book. I have the other, I think 2 of the other top 5 that he recommended too, but that's lesson for another day.
Right. So make sure you make sure that you get those books. If you're a mom that's doing this for your child, then you have to be all the roles, or you can source out roles too. I'm totally a believer in that. If there's something that you don't know, learn, but also source out some things. And then if you're parents that are parenting a kidpreneur, then you guys should work together. For instance, for me, the side that I do of most of the things, and I'm big on social media, so I'm working a lot of social media. And even though he doesn't particularly do a lot of the social media, I do have him to do some of it too, because
that's why I'm here.
If anything should happen, whatever. So, because if anything should ever happen, he should know how to do those things. And so he also does pieces of social media as well as I do pieces of social media. And then I'm great at organization. That's my thing. And also I do organizing, like help organizing events. And he does that too. I think we both do that part as far as organizing events and things like that. And what else do you do?
I'm gonna read this quote real quick. This is just one part I want to make this clear. So this is from the introduction, which is the same book. And it says, these are not all success stories. I want to make that clear. So if you're thinking this is all sunshine and rainbows, it's not. I want you to be understanding of all of the aspects of business.
That's why I said resilience.
That fail. And there's several reasons why. This actually points out a lot of things in that. But back to what it says. So these are not all success stories. A happy ending is not necessarily the criterion for a good adventure. Indeed, the opposite may be nearer the truth. So what you need to understand is when you embark on any journey, whether it's in this book or any other book, at the end of the day, the criteria is not always success. The criteria is learning and building and growing together as individuals and as a family.
Definitely. So on that note, don't forget to subscribe to Life with the Sloans, and go ahead and go over to Instagram and check us out at
Grammy
Shawnee Talk Lifestyle.
Grammy.
That's the channel that we're on. All right. Where you can find many pieces of content about family, lifestyle, and more. So thanks so much for watching us on today, and share this with somebody that could use this information. See ya.
See ya. Until next time.